live.
Hey, good afternoon, all you Brownie fans. There's Lou Marconi. I'm John Suchan, and we are, the post-game show where
Post-game.
I titled this Browns Lay an Egg again in Pittsburgh.
Absolutely.
Because they can't beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh other than the playoff game back in 2020, which was super exciting for us Browns fans.
Can I say something about that? That was great. But when I'm hearing like, oh, it's been 20 years since we beat them in the regular season. No, we beat them. We beat them there 4 years ago almost.
Yes.
It's not a 20-year losing streak in that stadium. We won a playoff game in that stadium. Granted, it was a COVID year, but we had a bunch of guys down from COVID too. So
So let's talk about let's talk about this game.
Sure, I'm happy to.
I want you to go into some of the, but we talked a little bit before we came on air, and of course, as Browns fans, they had moments in this game. Just quick observations. Dustin Hopkins is mentally just
cooked.
Awful.
Cooked.
Cooked.
That's a good way to put it.
Really
cooked.
Killed a couple drives. The Browns got into the game early, got a score, got the lead with Jerry Jeudy. Things looked pretty good. Yep. Winston looked a little jittery. Some people were commenting on that. It seemed like he was holding on to the ball a little bit longer, not wanting to make mistakes. I don't know if that's true. Nick Chubb had a couple nice runs. Jerome Ford needs to lead the team. The kid who got the punt return late, muffed it, Tony.
Kadarius Toney, yeah.
So, Lou, what are your initial observations, and then if you want to go into some of the stats, just kind of
sure. You can't make the mistakes that we made and expect to win, especially in Pittsburgh. You almost have to play near perfect. It's hard to do in the NFL, but you cannot have your kicker missing kicks under 40 yards. Those are he makes those two kicks at the end of the first half and at the beginning of the second half, the game's tied. Mm-hmm. Completely different ball game at that point. Mm-hmm. Plus, you want to cut down on the interceptions. How many did he had? Two interceptions. We also had the muff punt by Kadarius Toney, but also the turnover on downs, and so all that kind of accumulated into the 13-point loss. Mm-hmm. But the team, on the positive note, the team didn't quit.
No.
They did not quit. And when I see like some other streamers want to say that we were pummeled by them, let me just go over this. I'm going to reach over these stats.
Sure.
The Cleveland Browns had 20 first downs. The Pittsburgh Steelers had 15. Mm-hmm. The third down efficiency surprised me because I thought we were a little bit better than this, but we were 2 for 13 on third downs, which that seemed a little bit low to me. But the Steelers were 6 for 14. Fourth down efficiency, we were 3 for 4, which there were a couple. We went for it on fourth down 4 times, and Steelers didn't have to at all. The total yards, Browns had 300 yards of total yards, and the Steelers had 267. We had 169 passing. They had 147. We had 104 rushing. They had 120 rushing. And it seems like the only running back that did anything for them was Jalen Warren.
Well, and Harris had a couple runs in that first series, especially. He was running right through the defense. Yeah,
he had a couple early. Good ones. Yeah, early.
How much do you blame this game? I mean, go ahead. We can talk about the defense here in a minute. Go ahead and finish going through
the total plays. We had 60. The Browns had 69 plays, and the Steelers had 62. Completions attempts. Winston was 24 for 41, while Wilson 15 for 26. I mean, he only threw the ball 26 times.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So total rushes, we had 25. They had 35. Like I said, turnovers, we had 3. They had 1. They had the 1 fumble from Patterson.
Yep.
We gave up 3 sacks. Myles Garrett got a sack in the game. And did you hear that stadium boo when he got that sack?
Yeah. I was walking the dog and I missed that moment.
Did TJ Watt get a sack? I don't think he did.
No. No, he did
I
not.
think he actually looked like he got hurt at one point
He
too.
did. It looked like he strained something. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Penalties. We had 9 penalties for 81 yards, and a couple of them were really stupid, like the one from Jermaine Ifedi
Yes.
and the one from Kadarius Toney. Those are
Yep.
like 30 yards of
Yep.
penalties right there.
Yep.
So Steelers had 6 penalties for 61 yards. Time of possession was dead even, 30 minutes each. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what it was the mistakes. We made too many mistakes. Honestly, we were right there with them. Let me see here too. What were you about to say about the defense?
No, I just wanted a lot of this. We are talking about some of the mistakes and Jameis Winston and doing the Jameis Winston thing and throwing the interceptions again.
Mm-hmm.
How much of this, and obviously the kicker, we talked about him. I want to talk about him a little bit more, Dustin Hopkins. But the defense, I mean, gave up a couple touchdowns. Now, granted that those touchdowns were on a short field for the Steelers, either
They had
because it
one
was
long drive the whole
right,
game.
right. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where it's like, I don't know if I want to pin any of this on the defense, but they weren't giving up a ton of yards like you just went through.
No,
I just wonder
they played a
sometimes.
good game. They
Well,
played a
here's the
good
thing
game.
though.
Yeah.
Okay, so Martin Emerson, for example, like every opportunity that he was given to defend, I mean, there were big moments in the
There
late in
was
that
one.
game.
The guy pushed off on him
Well,
and
he
they
did a
didn't call
little
it. They
bit.
called it
Yeah,
a little.
I
Yeah,
got
it would. I would have like, oh come on. When you see the arm
yeah.
extend, but that's
There
his
was an
team.
yeah. No, I know, but there's other plays too. Like there was another play, and this was you probably did, I just
I might
caught
have
it on
seen.
a highlight.
I might have not seen it. But go
Well,
ahead.
it was a highlight of a touchdown. I think Wilson had or a big play, but it showed the other defenders. And I was watching Martin Emerson on the replay, and I guess I'm just hammering Martin Emerson today. But he
Mm-hmm.
like overreacted to something, and and the guy that he was going to defend got away. And fortunately, Wilson didn't see him. But again, there's some of these guys that are playing, especially in the secondary, like Emerson, who like Steve and I talked about on the pregame show. I don't know what's happened to the kid. I thought he was going to be a lock, Martin Emerson.
Mm-hmm.
This is his third year, and I just feel like he's had a
Is he
really
just having
rough.
a down year? You think, or is
Yeah,
it just yeah? It might chalk it up to that. Um, I'm not sure because I know
that,
he's a solid player.
yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, we could be just to chalk it up to a down year for now, but let's see because it doesn't get any easier for this team next Sunday. I'll be
No,
down there. I'll be at the game.
yeah, and I'm contemplating right now. But
I'll
by
be
the
at the
way, we want to thank everybody who's watching us right now on the X, on Facebook, on
You know what?
YouTube,
Let me put mine
and
on here. Let me put
And
my X
also,
account.
if you can download us, listen to our post game show. If that's how you're listening to us right now, we appreciate that. Subscribe to us, follow us on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else you can listen to podcasts. We are there. We are the Fanatical Elfz, part of Fans First. I'm sure the Fans First group from Pittsburgh is enjoying this game.
All right, we're on my
Yeah,
X too. We
I'm
just made
sure
it on my X
the Pittsburgh folks, our Fans First colleagues like Jeff and
account.
Brian are enjoying this game. They needed this game. They're 10 and
Yeah,
they're 10 and
10 and
3.
3, and they
And
got to go to Philly next week, and then they
yeah,
play. Then, if I'm not mistaken,
Kansas City. Yeah, they got
they go to Kansas City and play the Chiefs on Christmas.
yes. Yeah, so they've got a tough I overheard so in this game at the
I think
beginning
they
of it.
got Baltimore, then
Let me ask you
Cincinnati.
this. Let me ask, we can talk more about specifics to this game, but I heard Tony Romo on the TV broadcast early in the game mentioned that he thought that Pittsburgh really was a Super Bowl contender this year because they have a balanced attack. And I'm sorry, I just laugh at that because
No.
I thought, Tony Romo, what the hell are you talking about? I mean, okay, Pittsburgh's got a 10-3 record and all that, but they're not that good of a team. And I don't care that they
No.
have Russell Wilson back there. They don't have a balanced team like they're saying. There is a lot of inconsistencies with that team. And for quite honestly, like Lou, you're going to probably point out here, if the Browns don't make these stupid ass mistakes with Dustin Hopkins shanking, field goals all over the place like he's a terrible golfer, I mean, we're right there in this game.
Yeah, we're right there. And it's just like, I mean, but it happened, so we made the mistakes. It is what it is, and it's like we're better than our record, and I think we're better. I made this point. Did I make it on your show? Or did I make it on the Friday night show?
I'm not
Remind me.
sure.
I said if Jameis Winston and the line was healthy at the beginning of the season, we would beat Dallas. we would beat the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
We would beat
those
the
are 2
Raiders.
games right there. Yeah, and then 3 probably. Yeah,
Yeah, with Dak Prescott,
yeah,
we would win those games.
yeah.
I mean, I just said they were kind of like, I think the owner knows that their hand was forced because they're paying this guy all this money, and now the divorce is
But
about to
what
happen.
about Winston? And we're going to have our Stirring the Pot show tomorrow night. Lou and I, we're going to continue this conversation. But Jameis Winston, again, you get the good with the bad. And today he didn't seem like, maybe because he's overthinking it, I don't know. He was just he did some good things. I mean, overall,
that touchdown pass he was more successful when he was scrambling. Did you notice
he
that?
was. My question to you is, though, like, this conversation now is going toward, what do we do about next year? A lot of us have been saying, well, let's bring Winston back and start him. But is it better to put up with what we see from him, where can be so hot and then he makes these horrible mistakes that put his team in a bad spot? Is that better moving forward in the next year? Or do we just, like we've talked a little bit about, do we go draft somebody? Do we bring another veteran in? Where are you at with that?
I'm kind of, let's see how the last 4 games play out, and let's see who's available and what's available. I mean, you could see Jacoby Brissett coming back. You could see Jameis Winston coming back. You could see a guy drafted. I mean, I was thinking maybe a guy like a Carson Beck in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
Or who's the guy? Do you think the Alabama quarterback would be available in the 3rd round? Maybe 2nd or 3rd round. Maybe.
You talked a lot about the Penn State kid, right?
Yeah, but he's not going to be in the draft this year. I think he's going to go. He's going to go back for another year. That's 2 years out. Which they might not draft a guy. They might keep DTR around for another year and have like a Brissett and Winston quarterback room with DTR, and Watson's going to be on the pup to start. I mean, the divorce is going to happen. They might not, like, I think what Steve Gill and I, when we were on that show, I was on that show with you guys, was a Thursday.
Yeah.
It was, it's probably going to be June 1st, 2026, post June 1st, 2026 cut, take the cap hit 26 and 27 and just be done with it. And it's kind of like a good riddance type of thing.
Yeah. Well, we did get some good news earlier in the pregame show. We talked about Jedrick Wills being put on the IR. He'll probably never play another down.
He's gone
here in Cleveland. And, kind of a smart business decision. Now, I've seen a lot of things, Lou, in the post-game coverage from a lot of different fans and analysis about Andrew Berry and Stefanski. A lot of people are angry today more with Andrew Berry. Do you, and I guess the other, so is anybody at risk of losing their job this week? And does Hopkins continue, or do they bring in somebody else just to give them?
I think it's too late in the season now. I think they're going to play it out. I think in the off season, yes, but not this late in the season. I think they're just going to play out what they have. That's just me thinking. I don't see them making any, I don't see them firing any coaches. I don't see them cutting any players. I think Hopkins is going to stay until the end of the year. Then after the offseason, they're either going to bring somebody into camp to compete against him.
Yeah.
I could see possibly a different special teams coordinator, possibly some other changes on the coaching staff. But I don't see Barry. Well, Barry and Stefanski are staying, no matter what. So
you're absolutely sure of it.
That's what I'm heard. That's what I've heard.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
I'm not guaranteeing anything.
let's pause, Lou, for a quick break. This is the Fanatical Elfz post-game show where the Browns lose to the Squealers today. What was it? 27-14? Is that right?
27-14.
27-14. We'll be right back. And we're back here. Thank you for tuning back into our post.
Don't forget Hemisphere Coffee Roasters. Check out our sponsor. Click on the link in the details of the show. Order up some good coffee. It's a local coffee company out of Columbus, Ohio.
I've had 3 cups already today.
And you're
I will not go back.
Yeah. And just so you know, I'm basing Stefanski and Barry staying on what I've heard from other people. I don't have any inside information or sources.
What did you think of Nick? I'm a big Nick Chubb guy, like all of us are. It was good to see him kind of break out.
He led the team in rushing. He led the team in rushing today, 48
He didn't yards. On that run that he ran for 20. I mean, I thought to myself, and maybe it's just a an
You're seeing
observation.
glimpses of it. You're seeing
You
glimpses
see
of his old
glimpses of
stuff.
it, but you don't see that
Yeah.
little giddy up, that little burst that he might have had in previous years. Obviously, everything that's happened to him, it's just one of those things where I'm asking myself as a fan, is he going to get that little burst back, potentially going through the offseason again? Can he get it back? Or is it just because of what has happened to him and the knee that physically that he doesn't have that little extra gear now? What do you think on that?
I think he'll get it back. Not
Yeah.
quite to he might be like 85, 90% of what he was before.
Yeah.
Got to keep in mind the guy's going to be 30 and running back in the NFL. So, but Derrick Henry went
That's a
through
good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I did an article on a guy, the running back from University of North Carolina, not
Yes.
Genty. Ashton Genty, I think, is going to be a great player. The thing that makes me leery about him was two things. One, Mountain West Conference level competition is nowhere near the NFL. Let's see how he does in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And he's smaller.
Yeah.
Where
I want to talk to you about the college football playoff tomorrow.
Monterey and Hampton. We'll talk about the college football playoff tomorrow.
Yeah, we can do that during the pot. Yeah.
UNC leads the AACC in rushing, and he's a size. He's an AFC North running back. He's got that size.
Okay.
So he's a guy that I could see coming in and learning behind Chubb. He might be the heir apparent because I could see Chubb coming back for another year or two. But but he's been productive. It
was nice. Yeah.
You know who disappeared? Dante Foreman.
Well, he didn't play it in this game. They had him on the inactive.
Yeah, he hasn't played in a long time.
Yeah. I noticed that they didn't put Chubb in after the third quarter. He got that little last run. Then they started putting the
they're bringing him along. They're not going to give him a full load.
Yeah. What did you? It was nice start for the Browns early in this game with Jerry Jeudy getting a touchdown pass to kind of get things going. 5 catches, 64 yards, I think, for Jerry Jeudy today. Winston had 212 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. The Chief caught one. He also continues to drop passes that I feel like he should be getting. And again, it's been one of those things for David Njoku. For me personally, I'm not the biggest fan. I always say that to you or anybody that wants to listen. I think I respect his game, but I think there's plays where he obviously should be making some catches, and then he makes these amazing catches that he has no business catching. So anyway, I wonder where that is because David Njoku's requested a trade in the past from this Browns team. You wonder where I'm starting to kind of we'll have to start talking about that more as far as how does this Browns team regroup. Obviously this season is lost. But there's a lot of people pointing to the fact that this is the 3rd season that Stefanski has been sub 500.
Okay.
And again, there's a lot of anti-Stefanski fans out there. They want him gone.
Okay. Who do you bring in?
Right. Well, I'm just throwing this out.
It's easy. See, it's easy to yell, fire everybody, clean house. Well, who you bring in?
Right.
Then whoever they bring in, these same people are going to want the other people.
Now, like we talked earlier, Lou, like the team is, and Steve and I were talking about it on texting earlier during the game. The players are playing for Stefanski, for a 3-10 team, and even Tony Romo and what's his face?
Second
mentioning,
Jim
Nantz were mentioning on tape. When you see this team play, and they're not when they turned on the Miami Jets game, the Jets are one of these pathetic. Or teams, that when I was watching highlights of them earlier today when they played Miami, some of those players you can tell they're just not the same. I don't know. They're not.
Well, you can tell when a team gives up and a coach loses his locker room. That's not the case here.
No.
And when that does happen, I'll admit it. And when I'm wrong, I'll admit it. And I've done it already.
Well, we've seen it so often, right? In Brown's history.
When I'm wrong? Yes.
I mean, the last 25 years, we've gone through so many coaches.
Yeah. This was so ridiculous when I was on the Rapid, the last home game for the Browns was the Thursday night against the Steelers when we won. Yeah. And there's a guy on there, and I like to talk to fans. I like to hear what they have to say. And this guy was like, well, I just want some sort of form of stability. I want some sort of stability.
Yeah, you've mentioned
this before. I went, this is his 5th year.
Yeah.
He's going to be back next year. It'll be his 6th year. That's already? I mean,
Yes.
what do you mean? Do you want? I mean,
Right.
they make it sound like he's only been here a year or two when he hasn't. Now you're right. Okay, he had a he had a winning season, a playoff season. They won a playoff game in Pittsburgh his first season. The Baker Mayfield debacle happened in 21. The Deshaun Watson suspension happened in 22. 23 they did great. They got to the playoffs, a lot of injuries. And this year, Watson took a crap and the injuries, and we started out at like 1-7.
Yes.
When you start out at 1-7, it's kind of like,
but then there's a lot of people questioning it, saying we didn't have to be 1-7 if the coaching staff and the organization stepped up to the plate and did something earlier in the year and then wait.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's what happened. I guess the other part of this, and I've mentioned this to you too, Lou, that I know this angers, this idea, but coming into this season, I was playing to be devil's advocate here because everybody, including myself, were eager to get the season started, and we're hopeful that this would be a good season again after coming off the playoffs. And yet here we are, we're 3-10. We might win a couple more games, but you're looking at maybe a 4 or 5, maybe a 6-game season of wins, which is totally completely disappointing. Yeah,
absolutely. I wouldn't go. Yeah, Marion Hampton is the guy I would look out for in the offseason for the draft, the running back from UNC.
All right.
Okay. So, right. It didn't go well. It obviously doesn't go as you planned, and that happens. There's times that happen. I actually talked to a guy from Baltimore. There's one year, I want to say it was because Lamar Jackson got hurt or a bunch of injuries.
Right. I remember
that
won year.
3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they kept Harbaugh and they got to the
AFC Championship
game. Yeah, so I'm like, you guys, there's a lot of things that are happening that we don't even know or see.
But now the 9 penalties today again.
Yeah.
9 penalties, and some of them were just boneheaded. And listen, I know what coaches are supposed to do and what they're responsible for, but you and I have both been coached. Like I've coached, you've coached, and so there's certain things that you can implore and work with your players, your team. But in the end, I mean, you can do everything, but the players have to hold some responsibility. And there are some of the mistakes that they were penalized for. I'm not necessarily going to blame Stefanski. Yes, there are things that should be cleaned up, especially on the line and jumping and all this other stuff. I mean, we got a penalty on the first play of the game. Remember, Lou? We all jumped. We jumped on their card.
Yeah, I was like, this isn't good. Yeah, I remember that.
So anyway,
Lou, go ahead. What were you about? Did you have a question for me?
No, I'm just I'm trying to figure out, like, there's 9 penalties. How much am I going to blame Stefanski? Some players or some fans are blaming Stefanski for everything and want him fired, and those are the guys.
Yeah,
we're an undisciplined team, and I'm like, this game didn't seem. It was undisciplined, but it was more, I feel like, an individual responses because they're just tired. And it was, Pittsburgh wanted this game badly because they got embarrassed on a Thursday night game in the snow. I don't know if you want to say they were embarrassed, but I mean, it was bad.
They were, because there was a lot of trash talking, and then
Pickens not playing today. I mean, come on,
which made it even funnier. Which was just like, okay, you ran your mouth, and then you didn't get on the field. So
he's an idiot.
Yeah. So that guy, he might have caused more penalties for Pittsburgh if he was out there. So it might have been an advantage for him. No, honestly, it's one of those things where. Yeah, I even said that I was wrong when I came to the beginning of the season because I thought this team was a lot better.
You did, yeah.
And I'm saying this now. If ifs and buts is always the squirrels and nuts thing. If this team is going to compete, let's see how they do against Kansas City next week.
Yes,
let's see how they do again on the road.
Well, Taylor Swift being house. Steve and I were talking that the family. We've said that the Kelsey family will be.
They'll be in Luge. They'll be there.
They'll all be there. That's Wiz family will be there.
She'll be there. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She'll be there.
Some people are speculating that there might be an engagement proposal. He's in Cleveland. Just Cleveland boy. Come national. The NFL. If they get word of this, maybe the NFL tries to really play this game up even more because they'll draw more. Taylor Swift fans.
Well, let it. Great. Let's see if this happens. If there's an actual proposal during the game. So
you will be there, and I'm working on getting there. I've got my tickets, but I will keep you.
I'll be there. There's 2 games. There's 2 home games left.
Yep.
There's 4 games left.
I am going to be at the Miami game now. That Miami game may be shifted based on flex scheduling, which we would have to find out here in the next week, right?
I would think, yeah. You know what? I hope it's really cold.
Right. Well, Miami won today, so Miami's still kind of in the playoff hunt.
They're 6-7,
which would give that game a little bit more
oomph. Yeah, I would say Miami hasn't won a game under a certain temperature. And for they completely they're in Green Bay.
This is where I said, negative Browns talk. Where we all said this about the New Orleans Saints when they came to town 2 years ago.
That's true. And then I said if we don't win that game.
Hey, did you go to that game, by the way? Did you?
No, I wasn't at that one.
Okay,
that was Christmas Eve. I was at my parents.
I wondered,
with my family. Yeah.
Well, Lou, let's do final thoughts here and then wrap things up.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk more about this tomorrow. So
yeah, we got a whole show tomorrow. My final thought is, let's see how we do next week. Let's see how the rest of the 4 games go before any drastic changes are made. I wouldn't be surprised if Hopkins gets replaced in the offseason. I wouldn't be surprised if there are changes, because when you only win like what the most we can win is 7 games now.
Right.
When you only win so many games, there's going to be changes. It's the NFL. Mm-hmm. There's going to be roster turnover. There's going to be that. And I also agree that that you might see a different, more veteran style quarterback. But if you noticed, a lot of quarterbacks have come in under Stefanski and done very well at some point, except for one guy.
Yeah, we all know who that is.
Yeah, we all know.
The elephant in the room.
Yeah, the elephant in the room. And also you saw that too, that his the NFL saw no evidence.
I saw that. I saw you talked about that yesterday. Yep.
Yeah, it was just Friday. Yeah, it was just like, well, and I read it and I'm like going, everybody got all up in arms about nothing.
Yeah.
So here we go, folks. Let's just realize that we're not going to have Watson at training camp probably. If he comes back, it'll be later. Well, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I
didn't mean I
didn't mean to do that. I hit the wrong button.
Go ahead, man. Your final thought. But we'll see you guys tomorrow night stirring the pot.
Tomorrow night stirring the pot. I think, it was disappointing when Dustin Hopkins missed that first one.
We were like, shit.
And then he missed the second one.
I think we kind of knew. I think the air just kind of went out of everybody.
It really did, because we had really good drives, sustained drives in that first half, and it put a lot of more.
The whole point of deferring is so you steal a possession at the end of the first half, because second half, you get 2 scores in and you get up on it. It changes the complexion of the game and all that, and the fucker misses 2 of them.
Right, exactly. Well, Lou, tomorrow night during the pot, we'll be back. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to our Fanatical Elves.
Thanks for joining us.
Network.
We appreciate you guys. Yeah,
bring your comments tomorrow night. If you have some comments, share them with us. If you've watched the show live,
subscribe
to us on Apple, please. I implore you. And read Lou's article that's coming out tomorrow on the game. Hey, the Cavaliers, that's our good team in Cleveland. They got a game tonight.
They got a game like 10 minutes. They tip off in like 10, 15 minutes.
All right. See you, Lou.
They're in Miami. All right.
Go Browns.
Go Browns. Go Cavs.